Hello. So I don't normally do video stuff, so this is a little bit weird for me, but we're gonna see how it goes. I'm Nia, I work at Oxford University Press, and I said I was gonna do a Q&A about my marketing assistant role and about publishing in general for Work in Publishing Week, and I'm gonna come through on that promise. I'm usually just a blog person. I enjoy writing and having the time to think out my thoughts properly, which is why if you ask me a question, you got a full-blown text answer in response, because I wanted to be sure that I didn't forget anything in this video. So I'm going to try my best to answer your questions and answer some questions that I regularly get, and hopefully direct you, if I cannot answer them, to some better people. It's only going to be a couple. I think I will try and do another one of these later in the year if I enjoy it. But it's going to be a bit of a stream of consciousness because I'm shockingly bad at editing and I really don't enjoy listening to myself back. So we're going to try and do this in one fell swoop. We'll see how it goes. I'm not expecting much. So one of the questions I get most, I guess, is what does your role look like day to day, or what do you do in a week in your role? And I always find this question incredibly hard to answer because my role is so changeable. I currently work across online products, which means I do a lot of coding on the website, a lot of tweets. If you would like to see the kind of tweets that I tweet, I currently run the ODMB Twitter, which is fun, but I've also worked on OUP Philosophy and OUP Religion, and then also I tweet from OUP Academic sometimes as well when they approve my tweets. But my job is very changeable. There are some staples in the sense that I'm the person that frees up online product chapters. So if you've ever read a chapter from Oxford Scholarship Online or the VSI website, I'm now the person that frees those up. When I worked in books, there was lots of consistencies. Every week we would do website updates to load the new books that were coming out that month. We would work on flyers and design work, so sometimes ads for journals, sometimes Twitter cards, lots and lots of design work alongside that sort of very admin heavy getting those books up on that website so people can pre-order them. Both jobs are good. One is definitely slightly more stressful than the other, that being the website one. We have monthly updates that come up every month and involve a lot of liaising with editorial that I do now, which is really interesting. But yeah, my job does not look the same each week, and I love it for it. I think if I could quantify what I did down to the letter, I don't think I'd be in that job anymore. So the next question I get a lot is, what's the difference between academic and trade marketing? That's a hard one for me to answer. I have not worked in trade before, other than a brief foray into trade marketing with Vintage for 2 weeks. So I would say, from an outsider looking in, that trade is much more targeted to the specific one-person consumer. They're trying to sell one book to one person, whereas at an academic level, we are much more likely to be selling to institutions and libraries, because a lot of the work that we publish is academic monographs, which mean it's high level and definitely not for everyone. It's usually written in an inaccessible way, so you wouldn't necessarily be able to pick it up and instantly know what was going on within it. And so we have a trade department within OUP that work on books that are more appropriate for our layman readers, but I worked specifically really on books that could potentially cross over into trade, called impact books and academic monographs. And we would usually focus on encouraging lecturers to adopt them to their courses, or libraries to buy them for their academic libraries, which means that compared to trade, where you are really wanting people to buy from, say, Waterstones or Amazon, maybe, if you're crazy, we don't want that. We want uptake by institutions instead. So we market a lot more by subject and less focused on one singular book. And then next up, I have what skills do you use most as a marketer? I think time management for me is the key to being a successful assistant. For obvious reasons, I work with lots and lots of different people. If I couldn't manage my time, I would not get my work done and we would end up in a heck of a mess. But time management is key. I think finding a method that works for you is good. Not everything works for everyone. Like, I organize my stuff via my calendar and work, so I will block out time specifically to work on that specific specifically to work on that specific task. And it means that my calendar is blocked out with those things and I try my best not to move them. Doesn't always work. Sometimes things will get pushed back. Sometimes things will get pulled forwards. And you've got to be able to handle when curveballs come your way, because something will always come your way that you didn't expect. And so managing your time by leaving appropriate gaps for things that could potentially pop up suddenly, and then also ensuring that you've laid out enough time to complete your work for that week is really, really important. Mostly so that you don't take on too much. I definitely have been the sort of person that will take on so much that on a Friday evening I'm in work till 7 o'clock. And I've been really trying, especially since we've been working from home, because it's very easy for it to happen, to not do that. But yeah, time management, I think, communication, being able to talk to people and email people and not be afraid to be like, what is this? How is this working? Why are we doing this? Because so much of marketing, so much of good marketing, I think, is about innovation and about genuinely looking at stuff and being like, how could I do this better? How could I make this better? And especially at OUP, I've always been actively encouraged to do that. It's the reason that I did a couple of projects that I worked on while I was in my old team in academic books, was because I was like, well, this is a really successful thing. Let's link it back to our product so that we can market to people. I think asking for what you want is good. I definitely, with OUP, I've struggled to get the experience that I need to step up. And the experience that I've gotten has often been because I've gone, I think this is a good idea. Can I try this out? And my boss has gone, yeah, go for it. Because usually if it's a good idea, they will help you to do it. Or if it's a bad idea, they will help you develop it into something that is good. But yeah, I think being able to communicate well, time management, and my biggest thing that I think I didn't realize that I would have needed coming into this role is coding skills. So HTML coding, being able to look at HTML code, see what the problem is and fix it, really useful. And Excel. Excel is the program. When I was in school, I did not think I would ever use Excel again. This silly spreadsheeting website that isn't worth anything. But in reality, that program I use every single day. It is the most central program. And if you can do anything in Excel, like anything complicated, like pivot tables, you should try and bring that up in an interview or on your CV. That program is how we track everything. The programs that we use to track data pull in an Excel format. So being able to format that data easily and suck it into a better looking table is a really, really, really great skill. And then another question that I got was, how did I use Adobe in my job? We really, in my department at least, only really use InDesign and Photoshop. You could also count PDF Viewer, but it's for viewing PDFs, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Adobe is expensive, and I think you can do a lot of the stuff in Canva. So if you're looking to have a crack at making your own design work, whether it's for a blog or you want to make a YouTube card or Twitter cards, you should start with Canva. I wouldn't recommend investing the amount of money that you need for Photoshop or InDesign, but we do use it. We use it usually for our flyers and our journal ads and things that need a lot of content in one small area, or where you're layering things on top of each other and things like that, just because it's easier to see in Photoshop and sometimes the tools are slightly better to use. Same with InDesign. InDesign is usually where you make the flyers. It's a great program. It's really useful. It's really good for making 3D book covers. They look gorgeous. There's a great website for templates that I will link below. It's also in my blog post about upskilling for publishing, which I'll also link below. But yes, I would recommend Canva. If you want to experiment with design, start with Canva and then think about Photoshop if it's something that you really, really enjoy doing. But Photoshop's a hefty investment, but it is a good skill to have. Okay, and then finally, I guess one of the questions that I guess asked a lot is, what did you do before you were a marketing assistant? And my career is fairly, I would say boring. I'm only an assistant, so I don't have any wild, fantastic publishing stories about moving presses or anything like that. But when I started working when I was 17, and I've worked pretty consistently from then. I started off with your usual job at KFC, and then worked my way through my student bar all the way through uni, and then came out the other side, realized I had no experience when it came to publishing, but that I really wanted to get into it. And so I started trying to, one, get into publishing, but also get onto internships, which I really struggled with, I think, because I wasn't working or living in London, and they're still really expensive. Even if they are paid, it's still really expensive to live in London. I had no connections. I would have had to rent, and so it wasn't really viable for me at the time. Now there's things like Spare Room Project, which when we can all travel again, will reopen and help interns intern in London. But yes, I then did 2 weeks at Penguin Random House with Vintage, which was amazing. They were incredible. It's the most expensive thing I've ever done, but I came home with a suitcase so full of books that the Megabus didn't want to let me on the bus. So that was fabulous. And then I came back home after my 2 weeks, and I got a job. I think I got a job in Next over Christmas, which turned into an admin role with them. So I ended up doing all of the banking and a lot of the stationery ordering and the returns and things, which was really interesting. It was something I hadn't done before, and gave me the sort of admin experience that I needed, I think. When I was applying for my OUP role, it showed that I could manage time. I had to cash up those tills in like 30 minutes. So it really showed that I could do things under pressure. And then while I was working at Next, I also did 2 weeks work experience at Seren, which was much more geared towards editorial, and really sort of finalized my idea that I was a marketing gal. And then I did my work experience at University Wales Press, which lasted for 7 months. They kept me. I did 2 days a week for 7 months. I think it was Friday and Monday, and then I worked in between at Next. So it meant that for those 7 months, I was working a lot. But I do think it was what got me my job. I think it's really hard when you're weighing up whether or not to take paid or unpaid internships. But this was a situation for me where I felt the benefits far outweighed the negatives, and I could still work while doing it. They were incredibly flexible with me, which was amazing. But yeah, and then I started my marketing assistant role in books. And then 3 months ago, I moved into online products, or as it's now known, product and faculty, which has been amazing. Surprisingly, I didn't really think it would be much of a step up, but it really has been. It's been amazing. I have to manage so much of my own time now, that it's been a bit of a challenge. It's definitely tested my time management skills and definitely tested the way I organise my day, but it's been great that it has actually worked. But yeah, I think that's probably it for this one, because this is now a 15-minute video and I don't really want to go much over that. So I will leave you and love you. I hope you enjoy my beautiful Scottish Terrier Christmas mug, and maybe we can do another one of these after Christmas. Bye.